All right, I'm all the way live here. Am I live over here? Am I live? I'm not live here. I'm live here, Anna. About to go live. About to go live. All right, you guys, come on. All right, all right. Brooks. All right. All right. Thanks for your patience. Thanks. Now, hold on. Dang, I think I went on YouTube. That's Facebook. All right. If I'm on Facebook Live. I'm on YouTube Live. Lord have mercy. Just getting straight. Getting ready for what I got to do. All right. Y'all tune on in. 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 It's called real life up in here. We ain't just no professors teaching class. Real life. Gotta put this on. Gotta go with some Elijah Muhammad for the mission and the assignment. Let's see where we are. Am I on? I think I'm on. I'm on. All right. Tune on in, y'all. Tune on in, tune in, tune in. Am I live? I'm live. All right, fine. Y'all tune on in. Tune in. I'll get ready for y'all to tune in. I need to print that out. I need to print out motion. All right, y'all tune on in. Tune on in to the headquarters of Law Office of Black Lawyers for Justice and Malik Shabazz. Tune in right now. Tune on in. Tune on in. Tune in. Hold on a second. Tune in. I should have shared it. Tune in. Okay. And let me find something that I want to talk to y'all about today. Y'all tune in. Tune on in. I'm right here. I'm ready for you. Go to my flash drive. That's the memo I want to talk about this unlawful entry. All right, y'all, tune in. It's another week of legal rights and police encounters. It's another exciting week. as my staff once again abandons me. As soon as my broadcast goes, everybody goes to hit the door because they know I can't catch them and stop them from doing what they're doing. They know what's going on. Current pages, selection. One to 5, 1 to 10. Give me that. All right, tune on in, because I got something to drop today. Page 9. I get that off page 9. All right, y'all. I want to say Black Power, Sister Cynthia, Brother Melanin, Joseph, Angela Butler, Omar Silver, Monique. Welcome, welcome. I'm also on Shabazz University on YouTube, ShabazzUniversity.com on YouTube. I am on the website. Of ShabazzUniversity.com. And I won't be long. I can't afford to be long, but I had to be strong today. Can't afford to be long, but I want to be strong. This is class number 4. I'm back again. We are consistent at Shabazz University. We're consistent and intend to be consistent. This is a university of real life. It is a university where we deal with the reality that Black people have to live in. And we have classes and courses that meet you right in your daily life, right in your life experiences, right with that which you're either thinking about or experiencing. That's what all the classes at Shabazz University are about. When I leave here at 4 o'clock, Mr. Franklin Malone is teaching on fatherhood training and certification, and he's talking directly to Black fathers, but he's also seeking trainers of fatherhood trainers that will gather groups in other cities and train them in a certified process. That's a real life. That's really needed. On Sundays at Shabazz University at 6 o'clock from Virginia, our esteemed school board member from Petersburg, Virginia. She's teaching and conducting parenting classes and parenting workshops for parents who have children in the public schools. I also want to announce that with Miss Lois Long, the Honorable Lois Long, that we are having serious talks and efforts about establishing a campus, a physical campus in Virginia, and other ideas about a physical campus in Washington, D.C. for Shabazz University. That's Sunday at 6 o'clock. All parents who have children in the public schools, we have classes, we have workshops, and we're trying to build an advocacy program. And there are many things that we want to do at Shabazz University. I've said it before, I said it again. I need an administrator. I would like a qualified administrator to step to the plate to help me take the good that we've gone and take it to the next level. I've taught 4 classes. Professor Shamanda Owens, who comes on Saturday at 4 o'clock, has taught several classes. Lois Long is now up to 3 classes in a row at least. Franklin Malone's coming after me. And next week, Imam Akbar opens up with Islamic studies in the Black community. All of those others you've seen, Dr. Cornel West, Ashraf Kwesi, and all of the great teachers, Baba Buntu from South Africa and others, they are coming later this summer for orientation and the fall. They're coming. I need administration. Kind of work that I do. at Black Lawyers for Justice. I'm going to get further into my job, into the hard details of my work and into the hard details of that which is called justice and seeking justice inside of America. So I do, as to conclude here, I do say that I am in the market for a qualified administrator that will help me direct all of the classes and courses for Shabazz University, because there's so much more that we need to do online with the Canvas program, the Chalkboard program, and with social media, internet, registration, libraries. There's a whole door we've opened up, and I need help. And in the meanwhile, we stay on the air because we want to let you know that what is in our mind comes to a manifest reality, and what is in our mind comes from a manifest reality through willpower. When we say we will open up a university for nation building and Black excellence, a Pan-African university, we will achieve it. The name Shabazz, one of the names, as described to us by the man who gives us Shabazz. We don't know about Shabazz unless we get it from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. We hear it a lot through Malcolm X, Minister Malcolm X, El-Hajj Malik Shabazz. And we hear Malik Zulu Shabazz, and we hear throughout the Nation of Islams, the various Nation of Islams, Shabazz, Shabazz. But there's a core meaning to it. And the core meaning is Shabazz means the greater taker, that which meets and overcomes all obstacles, the God tribe, that which cannot be destroyed. Those are all good names here in this hour as we open up, because as a people, we must understand who we are. And although we have many different interpretations on who we are, we're Kemetic, we're Moorish, we're Nubian, we're Akubalanian, African-American, whatever. All is truth in all those names. But let's focus on a name that Mr. Muhammad gave us, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He says Shabazz means the greater taker. That means when a task comes, you have to what? Take on that task. When a challenge comes, a mission comes, an obstacle comes, you have to take it on. And we are taught that we are the people that take on the task and become the greater taker. That means we are the overcomers, as the Holy Quran teaches. The overcomers, the greater taker, that which meets and overcomes all obstacles. That's a mentality that all of our people need to accept. We need to say, I will. I will. Repeat after me. I will meet and overcome all obstacles. Not some obstacles, all obstacles. He says further that it means that God tried that which cannot be destroyed. So we're saying that we are a tough people. We are a strong people. We are a resilient people. We are a people that have suffered the worst Holocaust of all time. There's no so-called Jew on the planet that can say that his 6-year Holocaust outranks the 400 to 500-year African or Black Holocaust. We have suffered the worst, and yet we have not been destroyed. We are still producing while so many others have been wiped out from the white plague. So therefore, we are a people who are fit to meet and overcome all obstacles, because if you can overcome the Holocaust And if you can overcome what the white man has done to us, then you qualify as the greater taker. And each one of you individuals, as I leave this opening, I want you to understand that when you wake up in the morning, when you're confronted with a task, when you're confronted with someone saying you can't do something, you shouldn't do something, you can't, you won't, I want you to say that I'm from the tribe of Shabazz. And I want you to say, I will meet and overcome all obstacles, which requires a concretization and a focusing of your mind on the immediate objectives and drawing all of your energy and your faculties and focusing on that objectives and kick that objective in its backside, and you make that objective bow to you and you don't bow to it. That is the meaning. And that is the point behind this university. We are going to establish the university and we are going to meet and overcome any obstacles. And if there are dead bodies in the wake of establishing it, then such is the price of raising up civilization. Now, I'm here, it's 3:20, I better move fast. It's a 4 o'clock class. My subject today comes from my booklet on page 6, Stop and Frisk and Racial Profiling. Stop and Frisk and Racial Profiling. I'm discussing this in the context of what? Civil rights law and false arrests. False arrests right now. Civil rights law and false arrests, and what is stop and frisk and racial profiling? Stop and frisk is a policy that we familiarized and heard about in New York City, but it's basically about investigatory stops. When can the police stop you? How long can they stop you for? Under what rules can they stop you? How long can they stop you for? And what happens if they violate the law? What options do you have? Now, before I go any further, I want to say this about America. The Constitution, our Fourth Amendment. And this Fourth Amendment is to protect us from unlawful and unreasonable searches and seizures. We're all supposed to have a Fourth Amendment right to avoid having our homes invaded unlawfully, our vehicles invaded unlawfully, and most importantly, our person, our bodies, either searched or invaded unlawfully or what? Detained, seized, held unlawfully. You cannot hold someone against their will, or that's false imprisonment. If you go out here right now, brother and sister who listening, and say, I'm going to grab somebody, and they say, no, let me go, and you grab them and you don't have a legal or a lawful reason to hold them, then you got a problem. You will be liable for, on a civil level, for false imprisonment or false arrest. And you may be liable for other criminal charges when you put your hands on somebody. That's a assault, intent, battery, hands, assault, the intent to do it. Either way, the Constitution allegedly protects this person from unlawful searches and seizures, and it is written in the Fourth Amendment. Now, the question here is, and you watch this all the time, the police roll up on Eric Garner. Eric Garner was reported to have been selling cigarettes, and they investigated were allegedly investigating Garner on a report that he was selling cigarettes. That's called an investigatory stop. Investigatory stop here on page 6 of my book is covered under the Supreme Court case Terry v. Ohio, where you must be able to, let's quote it direct. Terry v. Ohio says, that's Terry v. Ohio, Terri v. Ohio. It's a landmark case. It says that a police officer who has reason to believe he's dealing with an armed and dangerous individual, remember that word, reason to believe, regardless of whether he has probable cause to make an arrest, may make a reasonable search for weapons. It says regardless to whether he have probable cause for arrest. We'll get to that in a minute, what's called probable cause, if we get to it today. Probable cause is the standard for arrest. You have to have probable cause to make an arrest. You may not have enough for a conviction, but you have to have probable cause to make that arrest. And it pretty much sounds like what it says. Probable cause, that you have enough information that in your hands as an officer, and you have enough information that has come to you to decide that probably this person has committed this crime, and you can make that arrest safely without violating that person's constitutional right. Once again, the case of Terry v. Ohio. Terry v. Ohio, everybody's got to know this. Terry v. Ohio, and I'll give out my email, and it's in here still. It's here, and I'll give you the citation. I'll give you the case if you email me, and I'll get to that at the end of the class. Anyway, if you don't have probable cause, say I'm an officer, I'm stopping somebody, and I don't have probable cause, but I still can stop that person and investigate to see whether there is probable cause, but I just can't stop them from any way. I have to have a reasonable suspicion. I have to have a reason to stop them. I have to have a basis. I may not have enough information to establish probable cause, but I have another lower threshold, a lower threshold that's called reasonable suspicion, what's called an investigatory stop. Investigatory stop allows me to what? Investigate as a police officer. Let me see what's going on here if I'm a police officer. Now, we went over this last week, and today again, this is the procedure. It's called contact, then stop. Contact, then stop. What kind of stop? Investigatory stop. Contact. Here's a contact. Contact is just like what it sounds. Contact. See a police officer? Hey, hi, how's it going? Could be a contact. See a police officer? The addict starts asking you some questions. That's a contact. You have no obligation to cooperate with a contact. You don't have to speak to the police. You don't have to show ID. You don't have to do any of that on contact stage. All right? But if at contact stage, if you say to the police, am I free to go? If he is not stopping you under the rules of Terry v. Ohio and the Supreme Court rules at the contact stage, then you can keep right on moving. And you should keep right on moving. Yes, sir. How you doing? Hi and bye. If you want to say hi, you don't have to say anything. Just keep right on moving. Now, if he says you're not free to leave, then you're being held, you're being detained for an investigatory stop. And that means that he has to be able to articulate the reasonableness of why he's stopping you. And it has to be a good faith basis for believing that you may have violated the law. It has to be a good faith basis. And let me give you I'm going to give you an example from a case I'm working on right now that takes you right through contact, stop, reasonable suspicion, and holding that person for a stop so long, holding them so long that the stop becomes what? An arrest. You do not have to be in the jail car, in the jailhouse to be arrested. You do not have to be in the back of a police car to be arrested. You do not even have to be in handcuffs to be arrested, even though handcuffs are the hallmark of an arrest. You don't have to be in handcuffs to be arrested as long as you are held for a time longer than it takes to investigate whether or not there's probable cause. You are being arrested. Whether you are being merely surrounded by police officers for say a half hour, that is an arrest. You can be handcuffed and not be arrested. Because under an investigatory stop, when they're investigating something, if it is determined during the stop that either you have a weapon or you may have a weapon, or there's a reason that the police officer can articulate that he is handcuffing you for the protection of his safety while he investigates, then he has a right to put you in handcuffs while he investigates if he can determine that for some reason you are a threat to his safety. Now, a lot of what I'm telling you right now is subjective, and it's supposed to be objective. The word subjective means in my mind is one way, in your mind it's another way. Objective means that in everybody's mind it's the same way. The sun is shining. That's an objective fact. The sun is out there and the sun is shining. It's a clear day with no clouds. You can prove that by objective evidence. That's our objective. Subjective is somebody's opinion. Subjective is this. I'm a police officer. I saw two males. They looked at each other suspiciously. Therefore, I made the investigatory stop. I detained them because they looked at each other suspiciously. Brothers and sisters, the white man of America views most all black people as suspicious. Do you understand me? Reasonable suspicion to the average white cop in America is not reasonable suspicion to the average fair-minded non-white person. And here comes white supremacy and white racism inside of American law. White supremacy, white racism inside of American law, inside of the officer that is supposed to be enforcing the law, racism so deep it cuts as a knife. Because they are stopping black people all the time on false pretenses, fake pretenses of reasonable suspicion, and patting them down for weapons. And most of the time, it's based on the white racist officer's mentality that you were suspicious. Now, my point here is that how do you get justice? Let's just say they ran over your rights, mowed over your rights. Brother and sister, how do you get justice in America? You say, I'll go to court. The Constitution will protect me. The hell if it will. Because the Constitution can only protect you if you have a representative and an attorney that will fight for you to vindicate the right that have been allegedly or conclusively been violated. You have to fight for that right. That right is not going to be given to you. It is not going to be handed to you. The civilian complaints process of the police department, civilian complaints, they are not going to vindicate your rights. Civilian complaint. The officer pulled up on me. He patted me down. He harassed me. He held me. I'm filing a complaint with the police department. First of all, I want to tell everybody, file the complaint. File the complaint. Whatever happens, an issue you have with the police, file the complaint and keep the complaint as a record, because you may need it or your attorney may need it, and we have to increase the process of documenting what happens. When a police officer makes a stop in the community, he is supposed to fill out a report for a stop and detention. When a police officer uses any amount of force in the District of Columbia and in most all cities, he has to fill out a use of force report. He has to fill out another report, a PD 251 in Washington, D.C. These are records, and these are records that if you fill out your complaint, you have access to your records. And what I'm saying to you here in my legal rights class is that we have to stop complaining about the police, and we have to take action at whatever we can and at whatever level we can to hold these cops accountable. So number one here today, fill out your complaint if you have an issue with the police, and don't just mouth off at the scene, complain at the scene, talk about what you gonna do, and then you don't never do it. Because the commanders at that precinct and others take us less seriously. And these complaints, believe it or not, often come up in lawsuits when we use discovery to obtain these complaints. And we want to know how many complaints of excessive force, violence, illegal searches and whatnot have been filed. Everybody file the complaints. New Black Panther Party, who's listening on the, who's watching this, you must train on my tapes as your former chairman. You must train on these tapes, and you must train in the community. You must have those forms. Oh, yes. New Black Panther Party, Nation of Islam, Moors, anti-police activists, whatever your group is, NAACP, National Action Network. Don't tell somebody to go to the police station to get the complaint form. As an organizer, you should have them. Have your complaint forms. Have my booklet. And have other materials that I'm going to supply for organizations that you can have and hand out to the people. Okay? Make those complaints and document your record. That's number one. Now, number two is this. Because justice in America is tricky. America is a lying, hypocritical, and a wicked nation. But it sounds good on paper. Once again, this is a lying, hypocritical, and deceitful, and a racist nation that sounds good on paper. Sounds good that you can go into federal court and have your rights vindicated. Sounds good that you can go in and challenge the police, challenge the district government, challenge. Sounds good. Well, hell, the first thing you can do if you got a police case, you got to get you a lawyer. If you're going to challenge this on a federal level or even a state level. The reason why you got to get you a lawyer is because the rules are hard. The rules are not built for you as a pro se or a layman. And unless you like Bobby Worthy or somebody that's just going to try your hand at it, you are no match for the lawyers of Oklahoma. You are no match for the lawyers of the city of New York. You are no match for the Minneapolis lawyers. You are no match for them. These are well-funded, well-resourced, well-paid district attorneys and U.S. attorneys in these cities. Well-paid, well-organized. And it's just a few of us, lawyers in the civil rights, really human rights, but this in America is colonial, it's civil rights, Attorney Mustafa Ansari. It's just a few of us attorneys that can fight for you. And to be honest with you, we are outgunned, I mean, the District of Columbia has dozens and dozens of attorneys, and they are on staff every day with the purpose of making sure that your claim is defeated and thrown out. I mean, you could have just been, your son could have just been shot. I mean, just hypothetically, a cop just walk up to him and blow his brains out for no reason. You file a lawsuit in the District of Columbia, okay, for some reason, as usual, no indictment, no criminal charges. You file your lawsuit in the District of Columbia, and immediately the government, I don't care how obvious the evidence is, immediately the government of the District of Columbia launches an attack on your case, launches an attack on your son who was killed, launches an attack on his record. Immediately, they're going to push for a motion to dismiss. Now, these are district attorneys that you're paying. These are district attorneys that are taking your tax dollars. These are district and state attorneys who, in many instances, you have elected to office, yet their main job is to defeat your claim for civil rights violations. They turned from elected by the people to the goddamn enemy of the people. No good bastards. Now you need somebody you have to have somebody that's qualified to fight for them if you even gonna think about getting justice. And therefore that cuts down on the number of people that can potentially get justice. Can you hear me? You have, sisters and brothers, so many violations going on, so many cops and undercovers out here violating people's rights to search and seizure, violating their rights to be stopped, violating their rights, that most people just say, oh, to hell with it. Or most people can't get to the attorney. Only a very small, very few of the cases that need to be brought to court are actually brought to court, because most of the time, you got to get you a lawyer to take it to court. What kind of lawyer? It's not easy. A lawyer just don't walk in the federal court. You don't just walk in the federal court, oh, let me try this case. The cases is not no joke to try. They cost, these cases to try them and to litigate them, they cost time, they cost money, and time is money. Oh, time is money. Time is money. The lawyer may take your fake will charge you litigation expenses. You pay for the expenses, but most of the time, if you like me or the attorneys I'm with, case expenses. We front the expenses. And therefore, we have to win the case to do what? Win you some compensation, win back the expenses, and win back an attorney fee if we are to get compensated for our time. Therefore, many attorneys don't want to deal with civil rights cases and federal cases and suing the police because it's what? A risk. It's a risk. If I'm a criminal lawyer and you say, I got criminal charges and here are my papers and I need you to help me, then you got to put down $5,000 or $10,000 or $20,000 or $50,000 or $2,000 or whatever it is you're putting down cash money on your case. It's no contingency. And you fight that case, get that case either dismissed or whatever. And it's a safe bet for most lawyers. Be a criminal lawyer, safe bet. But the big boys take risk. Where there's no risk, there's no reward. And we have to invest in our cases, invest in our causes, and fight them out and win that money back. And sometimes, goddammit, that money is lost due to the injustices in America and is lost forever. And sometimes it's won. And it's won for the benefit of that client and it's won for everybody. But rare, my main point in this part 2 here is it's hard to get it's hard to get an attorney to take your case and to fight for your case. And even though I'm fighting these cases, this phone line ringing off the hook, this email's off the hook. And the workload is overwhelming because the white attorneys across America in the states that I'm fighting, Tennessee, Oklahoma, Maryland, DC, Phoenix, Missouri, the government of America is dedicated to making sure that you don't get justice regardless to what's in the competition. I mean, regardless to what's in the Constitution. The government of America is dedicated, the states of America are dedicated to crushing your civil rights and protecting the status quo of white supremacy. And again, and I can never articulate it enough, the purpose of the overall purpose of rules and laws in America is to keep black people, is to maintain order. And order means an unequal order with the white on the top and the black on the bottom. And here's a rule, and the rule is called nigga keep in line. Nigga, I stole you from Africa, now keep in line or you're going to jail. Nigga, I set up redlining in your community, now keep in line or you're going to jail. Nigga, I stole the land that the food was grown on. Now, nigga, if you steal a grape out the supermarket, nigga, you going to jail. That is law in America. It's a so-called just law underneath, rooted in an unjust law. And the unjust law and rule is that the white man of white America is the biggest criminal on the history of the face of the planet Earth. Do you understand me? So I don't want to hear nothing about this goddamn land of the free and the home of the brave in America. America's tricks and traps and is wicked. And it is the height of Yakub's civilization. Now let's take another look at this thing here. Boy, I'll be thinking I won't have enough time for my classes. My classes fly by. I'm going to take you down the line. All right, tuning in. Might have to get up and get my door for a minute. Y'all stick with me. Now okay, so here's a freedom fighter attorney, a civil rights man. I'm trying to help my people now. I'm inside the system. I'm inside. I'm here with the judges and the prosecutors and all this. I'm inside fighting for your rights. Now, reasonable suspicion. Now, here's a case I'm working on right now. What am I working on that I went on Facebook and say, I ain't got no time because I'm all tied up. I'm tied up because the enemy's fighting back. He fights to crush everything. Don't care whether it's right or all the way right. He's out to crush it. Jamal Robinson versus the District of Columbia. Robinson is a black man who was an off-duty police officer. Now, you know that I am not favorable to police officers. I'm just not. I don't care whether you're a black officer or not. I have officers that I know and I respect them. Hold, let me get my door real quick. Y'all hold 1 second. My staff are not here. Yeah, we'll work it out. All right, I'm back. So, again, this is a case in the District of Columbia. Jamal Robinson, who is my client, was an off-duty police officer, and though I don't normally deal with police officers at all, I mean, I have a hard line on that. Y'all are activists. Y'all be like, we're going to go sit down. We're going to meet. They kill somebody. We're going to go meet with the chief. We're going to go meet with the chief. Meet with the chief for what? We're going to go over here. We're going to have a meeting. We're going to have a meeting. Meet with them for what? The only meeting I know about is a deposition or a goddamn hearing or a trial. That's the only meeting I know about that is worthy of our time. Now, in this case here, you got charges of, this is a civil case. This is what attorney like I would file. What happened was Mr. Robinson is merely sitting on a gate. Pardon me. Mr. Robinson is sitting on a gate. Anyway, I'll get to that in a minute. He's sitting on a gate, sitting on the fence with his feet on the sidewalk in front of a house which has a lawn, and the house has a no trespassing sign on it. So let's just say the no trespass sign is back here. The lawn is here. And Mr. Robinson is right up front out here on the sidewalk like anybody else walking up and down the sidewalk. And he leaned on the wall of the house. He was waiting to make his next move, to go pick up his daughter. Okay? He was beset upon by the gun recovery unit, who jumped out on him and immediately asked him, could they search him? And he replied, no, but that he had a gun and was a police officer. And immediately they went to tackle him, and they did tackle him, drove him to the ground. Then, as soon as they had him handcuffed, they found out he had his badge and he had the right to have the gun. The gun was legal. They took the gun from him, but they found out right away that he had a right to have it and he was an officer, which at that point, the law says you are supposed to let him go. Once you stop somebody legitimately, now this stop to me, I question the legitimacy. I'll take you back. I question the legitimacy of the stop. The stop to me is illegal. But once you do stop him and you find out that he has not committed a crime, the law requires you to be let go. You cannot be held forever. Okay? Because if you're held beyond the reasonable time, then you have been what? Arrested. And if there's no probable cause and you don't arrest that person, then it's what? A false arrest. And a false arrest is what? Under the Fourth Amendment. It's an illegal seizure. It's an illegal seizure. It's an illegal holding of the person beyond constitutional time. And that's when you start talking cash money. That's when you start talking compensation for holding me. And so they over an hour after they found out. Why did the gun recovery unit, oh, no good gun recovery unit, white officers, Clifford and Pinto, why did they hold Mr. Jamal Robinson for that time? Was it legal? Was it lawful? Were they, did they have probable cause? No. The deposition, goddamn depositions, reveal that they were angry, that their emotions got involved with it. That because he was a fellow officer and because he cursed them, allegedly resisted them, that due to their anger, they held them till the supervisors came later because really they wanted to punish him because they were angry. Most of the time when police officers violate the law, it's the anger and it's the emotion that drive them beyond that which is lawful to that which is unlawful. And that is characteristic of white policing in the black community. Moving from the lawful to the unlawful based on anger, emotion, racism, and white supremacy. Moving from the lawful to the unlawful. From the legal to the illegal. From letting the man go to holding him to teach him a lesson. I'm going to teach this nigga a lesson. But you know why they do it? Because most of the time they get away with it. Most of the time you can't find that attorney. Most of the time you ain't going to follow up. Most of the time when these goddamn jump outs and undercovers is jacking people up out here in the street, you're not going to challenge them. So I have to emphasize again, you have to challenge these bastards. You have to challenge them through complaints. You have to challenge them through attorneys. And by God's grace, by the time this class finishes in the summer and is reconvened and finishes in the fall, if you can't find an attorney, I'll show you how to go after these bastards yourself. I'll show you and give you the paperwork to go after them yourself. But by all means, letting them violate us and getting away with it has to stop. All right. So now in this case, we got what? Assault and battery. Assault and battery, putting your hands on somebody intentionally. Assault and battery, tackling him to the ground. Well, yes, police officers are liable for assault and battery. If the investigatory stop, the first stage of investigating and stopping, and if they put their hands on you in the course of that stop, if that stop is found to be illegal or unlawful, every application of force to you after that is illegal. If the stop was illegal, the force used to maintain the stop is illegal. If the arrest was illegal, the force used to handcuff you and to bring you into custody is an assault and battery. That's a legal application of force. It's assault and battery, and it's also excessive force. 42-1983. It's excessive force. All force is excessive if no force is warranted. Do you understand? All force is excessive if the force, if it's unwarranted in and of itself to use any force. This you must understand. So we charge them with assault and battery in a civil court. In a civil court, wish it could be criminal, but it's not because we don't have jurisdiction. We don't run this. They all would be locked up if we ran this. If I ran this, I would lock all of their asses up on a regular basis, but we don't run this. Negligent training and supervision against the District of Columbia, failure to train its employees, failure to train the gun recovery unit, failure to train them properly on what is a stop and what is not. Here is count number 4, deprivation of rights, 42 United States Code 1983. That, again, that's Fourth Amendment. When you hear the word 1983, that's Fourth Amendment. That is your right to be free from Fourth Amendment violations, your right to be free from all constitutional violations, but in this case, the Fourth Amendment and your right to be free from unconstitutional search and seizure. Also, failure to train, federal charges here of failure to train, failure to supervise their employees in the District of Columbia. Failure to train and failure to supervise is what I've charged them with. I have charged those charges. And it's been a goddamn war ever since. Now I'm at a stage of the litigation. This is going to take 2 parts, and I'm glad I opened it up today. When you file a lawsuit, one thing I love about it, you have a right to discovery. You have a right to discover what the other side has or information that is relevant to proving your case. So therefore, through discovery gives me documents like this. Discovery give me a document that is the Internal Affairs report. Now, the Internal Affairs report cracked down on Mr. Robinson. They totally protected their officers and cracked down on Robinson, who was an off-duty officer, and cited him for improper conduct. But what I found inside of the Internal Affairs report, what it didn't say said more than what it said. During the deposition of Officer Maurice Clifford, Clifford is lying. Clifford comes to the deposition making it up and lying a mile a minute. You're lying police officers of the District of Columbia. They are in a culture of lying and covering up. They're the same police officers in your town. Switch the town and name the game. Liars. Okay, now he comes to the deposition. He knows that he made an error, a legal error, by holding Mr. Robinson for so long when they didn't have no right to hold him. Because the law here says that you can't hold somebody longer than that which is reasonable. The Supreme Court says that. You can't hold somebody longer than to find out whether you got probable cause to arrest them. You either charging them, taking them, or letting them go. They held him for an hour because they were angry because he violated, I guess, the code of conduct between officers. He held him because he was pissed. He wanted to teach him a lesson. You know how they do. I'm going to teach this nigga a lesson. That's the code of white supremacy. Teach that nigga a lesson. Okay, now he lies in the deposition and says the reason why he was holding him was because he was going to now charge him. He was thinking about charging him with hindering. He was going to charge him with false arrest. Now, that's why I was holding him, is what he tells me in our one-on-one showdown, our deposition, where I put his ass under the heat for a couple of hours. And I got a record on this. I got a record on him now that I'm going to use his record to attack him. But inside of the deposition, he lies. He goes on and on again about why he held him. Well, if that's the reason why you held him, didn't you interview Mr. Clifford? Did not you sit down with an interview with the Office of Internal Affairs? And didn't you? Yes, I did. And didn't you explain to them everything that happened, officer? And yes, I did. And did you make any mention of this effort? Did you make a mention of the reason that you were holding him for so long? And did you mention that you were holding him because you were possibly charging him for hindering? Here's a copy of the report. Can you look at the report? Does this accurately summarize what you told Internal Affairs? Yes. Is there any mention in here of you holding him for hindering? It's not busted. So Discovery gets me documents that can help me prove my case, give me evidence. And therefore, this is why the legal expertise is needed, because you're dealing with professional liars. And you have to have the exposer of the lie. Okay, so Discovery gives you deposition. Discovery gives you documents. Discovery gives you evidence. Lord, my time has come to a conclusion. Let me answer a couple of questions. This is part one. Part one of reasonable suspicion and civil rights and false arrest. Part one is my fourth class. I'm coming back next week. But I want you to, again, go to my booklet, email me at attorney.shabazz@yahoo.com. attorney.shabazz@yahoo.com, and get my booklet and other materials I'm preparing for you, and be patient with me. I am fighting this white supremacist system. I am litigating against it, and also running this university, teaching this class, and everything else you want out of me. The completion of the book of Khaled, organizing for reparations. I'm giving all I can as a black man out here, so be patient with me. because it's a lot. It's a lot to deal with. Okay, so, and I say here, let me just read from page 6. Stop and frisk is often a term heard these days that describes when a police officer stops someone and detains them and conducts a search of that person and belongings. Today, in such cities as New York, where the policy is under attack, it's called racial profiling. That's what I'm dealing with right now. The gun recovery unit is driving in the 5500 block of C Street Southeast. They see 2 black males. The policy of the gun recovery unit is to find as many guns as possible through searching as many people as possible. The mission is to search as many people as possible. Find any excuse to search as many people as possible. If I see him on the sidewalk, I'm going to formulate an excuse to say that he was possibly unlawfully entering. Well, how the hell, officer, was he unlawfully entering? Unlawful entry. Let me tell you what the definition of unlawful entry is. And you tell me if somebody on the sidewalk qualifies as unlawful entry. I want you to tell me this. Now, y'all put y'all hats on. Y'all stick into this because you got to know this. And I'm not going to water down the class for any reason. Now, unlawful entry is a crime. Trespassing is a crime. If a cop comes on you and you are in somebody's house, if you're in somebody's house, here you go, God. Straight? I'm outside? All right, send me my bill. That's Eco Clean Cars, Greg Harris. Eco Clean Cars, #1 car detailer in the mix. #1 car detailer. And after all this hard work up in here, I'm getting ready to get out here and ride in something nice. I wouldn't even lie to you. You know what I mean? I mean, we work hard and we have to enjoy some of the benefits. Now, let's go over now again. Unlawful entry says in the District of Columbia, they said the cop said, well, he stopped. Not only did you hold him, but why did you stop it? Why did you stop him? You say, well, I stopped him because it looked like he could have been trespassing. That's the lie in the case. Could have been trespassing for a man on the sidewalk who is leaning on the wall of the lawn of a house. DC Code Section 22302 states, any person who without lawful authority shall enter or attempt to enter any private dwelling, building, or other property, or part of such building or property against the will of the lawful occupant of the person lawfully in charge of that property, shall, and without lawful authority to remain, shall refuse to quit the same on the demand of the lawful occupant. That means you're there, somebody asks you to leave, and you won't leave. Shall be guilty of a misdemeanor or conviction. That's kind of like the Starbucks case. Starbucks case. If it's a private property and somebody asks you to leave, you really cannot refuse to leave. Now, you can challenge it later on and say, well, I was asked to leave because of my race, my gender, or whatever other constitutional violation. But you would have to leave. This is not that case. No one was home at this property, and Mr. Robinson was not on the property. Mr. Robinson was not even on, my client was not even on what's called the curtilage. He wasn't even in the lawn. The cop did not pull up on him and see him in the lawn. He did not see him trying to get in the door. He did not see him in the property, trying to be in the property, even making an attempt to be on the property. He didn't even see him on the lawn. Yet he says a man on the sidewalk could have been trespassing. You are lying. You are racially profiling, and you are falsely formulating an argument for reasonable suspicion, your suspicion is false. What you're trying to do is to pat that man down and harass black men. And you are lying, saying that he's possibly in violation of DC Code 22302. You're going to lose that. Even if this judge who I'm before, even if the judge is a conservative. He's a conservative judge. That's another thing you got to deal with here. Goddamn conservative judges. You got moderate judges and liberal judges and conservative judges, and almost all of them are pro-police. It's a pro-police environment every step of the way. Either way, my fight for this one man represents fights for many others. I'm gonna revisit this case next week. I've opened the door to reasonable suspicion, open the door to false arrest, open the door to Terry v. Ohio, open the door to the climate and culture of policing, and I've completed my class today. Now I want you to share this class everywhere. I want you to sit down with your son and watch it with your son, with your husband, with your wives and your daughters and your classmates. And I want you to get serious about educating our people. I want you to get serious about focusing. Now, y'all watch all kind of videos and then y'all complain. But we're moving beyond complaining. I'm training. I ain't complaining. I'm training you because I can't do this by myself. I need the new Black Panther Party, the Nation of Islam, all you organizations. I need the private citizen to be empowered. I need everybody that watch my classes to join the war against police brutality, and the war begins with knowledge. You have to know to be able to fight this enemy. My name is Attorney Malik Shabazz. I am the founder and the chief here at Black Lawyers for Justice. I am here on the front line, giving all of my body and my mind to our cause in every variety of way I can, but I'm focused now on my cases. And I'm focused on getting you this information. You can email me at attorney.shabazz@yahoo.com, and you share this video to the ends of the earth and respect what we're doing. And I love you and I honor you. Let me see if I got a couple of questions that I'll pick up next week. Unwarranted force is in fact excessive. Yes, Sister Queen. Kalila Mishaw. Unwarranted force is in fact excessive. All force that is not legally valid is excessive. That's right. Man, I thank y'all tuning in. Thank you for tuning in. Please, man, this is a real class here. This is a real training. You're right, Salim Shabazz. They are that. They are that. And in the course of this class, we're going to get further into your right to bear arms and how to bear arms, when to bear arms, patrol, organizational solutions. I'm going to get all into that in the course of this summer orientation session and when we go to level 2 in the fall. Will Mega, respect Will Mega. We need this. I'll come teach this. I'll come teach it to your campus, class, university. I'll come live. Sister Janelle, peace, Black Power. Dennis Byron, where there was no risk, there's no gain. You ain't right, man. There's no risk, there's no gain out here. Ari, bless you. Hashim and Zinga, Brother Chairman, may God bless you. Stay strong, Brother Chairman, and stay strong to all of the followers in the new Black Panther Party for self-defense. The law will say free Barabbas, not Jesus. The law is bounded on protecting Barabbas and persecuting Jesus. The law is here to protect the illegal gains that the white man has stolen. And then to now make you behave and go by the rules. Otherwise, nigga, you going to jail. That's what the law teaches. Brother Ankh, respect. Rahubat. Dennis Byron, it has to stop and we can put a stop to it. Dennis Byron, at what point should a lawsuit be commenced after someone's civil rights have been violated? First of all, you get an attorney, and the attorney determines what time the lawsuit should be convened. In most states, you have a notice statute that you have to notify within 6 months. In the Maryland, 180 days. In the district, other states, 6 months, some 1 year, some Florida, 2 years. But you must notify the municipality that you intend to sue them, or you can lose the rights to what's called common law or state claims. Common law or state claims: false arrest, false imprisonment, assault and battery, wrongful death, very important. You should consult an attorney immediately, and your attorney who knows the field will know the timing. And then when you put the letter into the jurisdiction, they give you a letter back saying, we acknowledge your what? Your notice of claim. You must have notice of claim, or they'll wipe part of your claims out. And that's heavy. So you want to consult an attorney right away. You want to get your preservation of evidence right, and your attorney will want to get what's called the spoliation of evidence right. The spoiling of evidence, meaning destroying that evidence, that video, that body camera, that store, or whatever. They will destroy evidence unless you get out spoliation of letter to the intended party. Because then if they spoil or destroy the evidence, when that case goes to court, many rulings will go automatically in your favor, and you can win your case much easier by having an adverse influence, an adverse ruling against the party that had destroyed that evidence. So again, law school, come on, y'all. We need more. Y'all got to go to school. Amy Jen, you're watching. You better pass that bar and get in this office. Others of you who have said that you have forsook the English education or the white man's education, I think you're making a mistake. Others of you who have criticized me, you say he's a member of the bar. He's a member of the bar. Oh, goddamn it, you say you more American, and you say you're American citizen. You're a goddamn citizen for a reason. I'm a member of the bar for a reason. I can't fight the white man in court unless I sign up to be a member of the bar. Other than that, I'm just out here running my mouth. If I can't put that paper in, try that case, try that hearing. So whatever. Render unto Caesar that which is due Caesar. We need more attorneys. We need more lawyers. Now, what a report doesn't say is important as what it says. Amen, Dennis. Yes, thank you for learning. You learned a lot today. I practice in Philadelphia if I go into federal court. I'm not a state court Philadelphia man, but I'm a federal court man. If necessary, I can practice in any federal court in America. Sometimes I have to have local counsel, sometimes not, depending on who we have, depending on the rules of that federal court, and depending on who's available in Black Lawyers for Justice. Naya, bless you, sister. And Betty, that's the reality. But when you know that law, you'll be in much better shape. Black veterans in Philadelphia are being denied equal protection of the law, equal protection. That's another constitutional claims. There are 14th Amendment claims. My time is up. Tune in next week. I've just touched the surface. I'm going to go over many examples next week of stop and frisk, reasonable suspicion, unlawful detentions, and so forth. It comes about in traffic stops. Can I be held at a traffic stop? How long can I be held at a traffic stop? It has all kind of applications, and it's something we need to get into. My name is Attorney Malik Shabazz. My email is attorney.shabazz@yahoo.com. My number is 301-513-5445. Please give me time to get back to you and give my staff time to get back to you as we're fighting very hard for our rights. And I do want to say this. when these police cases come up in different cities, I want you to run them by me. You go and run them by my desk. Stop running to these Uncle Toms. Stop running to these Uncle Toms. And as soon as you run to the Uncle Tom, they go and tell all of the activists and all of y'all to get away. We don't want y'all. We don't need y'all. They go into cutting deals with the other side. You got to get somebody that's down for the cause, that knows the law, know your case, articulate your case, passionate about your case, fight for your case, but it's not going to compromise. And it's going to keep the heat on the enemy by any means necessary. The heat got to come from in the courtroom and got to come from out of the courtroom. The heat has got to come from Black Lawyers for Justice. It's got to come from the brothers and sisters that's out there rebelling in the streets. Justice got to come or attempted in these instances by all means and by any means necessary. You stay tuned right here. I'm going to shut off and come back on with fatherhood. Fatherhood training with the Honorable Master Certified Trainer, Franklin Malone. You stay right here. Don't go nowhere. This is Shabazz University. It's your university. Soon we'll be accredited where you can sign up and get your degree. But no one can stop you from getting knowledge. You got your degree from the white man, but you don't know nothing. You got the degree and don't know a damn thing. Now we're here to teach you that which you know not. Stay right here. Don't go nowhere. Franklin Malone is coming back.
Feel the passion.